The Toronto Blue Jays just shocked everybody in a game that many people had wrote off after the first few innings. The Blue Jays stormed back. Their pitching held it down after the initial rough start by Kevin Gosse, and the offense, including Vladimir Guerrero Jr., absolutely dominated, and Vladdy might be back. So we're going to break all that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? It's Gosse, your host of Jays Digest, and there's a lot of stuff to go over today. We obviously had a video earlier today, but I had to cover this game for you all because this could be, and hopefully, I don't want to overreact, but let's overreact a little bit. This could be the turning point for the Toronto Blue Jays season to get them back on track. The Jays were down as much as 7-1 in this game, and one of our best pitchers, Kevin Gosse, one of the guys who's been steady so far this season, he had a very rough outing against the Twins like he always does. They have something on him, and the Jays still managed to find a way to claw back and win the game after going down 7-1. So we're going to break it all down. Before we do, if you're a part of the large percentage that are not subscribed but are watching this, scroll down and hit that button. We're on the road to 12,500 subscribers. And yeah, let's just get right into it. What a day. What a game. And really, this game was an emotional roller coaster. And let's just get right into it. So you can start by looking at the lineup here. And John Schneider basically ran the same lineup as he did yesterday, which is Davis Schneider leading off. George Springer and Kevin Kiermaier continue to battle their illness. They both ended up making an appearance in this game nonetheless, but they're both battling the illness, and I think that it is safe to say that Davis Schneider has earned this leadoff spot going forward. He is going to continue to hit leadoff in the coming games, I'd like to think, even if George Springer comes back, because Davis Schneider went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, a home run. He could have easily been 4 for 4. He absolutely smoked his sacrifice fly to put the Jays up 9-8. But Davis Schneider has been one of the highlights of this season, and finally, we've been clamoring for it all year. Us fans have been clamoring for it all year. John Schneider finally did it and changed the lineup in yesterday's game, and he stuck with it. He didn't go back to his old ways. He stuck with this lineup, and I think going forward, it's going to work. I mean, they put up 10 runs in this game with Davis Schneider in the 1 spot. And obviously, George Springer's been a great leadoff hitter his whole career. But when you're slumping as much as George Springer has, and Davis Schneider, when you're doing as good as Davis Schneider has been, you got to put him in the leadoff spot. He gets on base. He has the highest on base percentage on the team. It makes total sense. Yes, he's not the fastest guy, but he has the pop that George Springer does at this point. He has the base running skills, even though he's not the fastest. And good Lord, it makes a huge difference, because we saw a few times when Davis Schneider was up in critical spots in the game and he delivered in times where earlier throughout the year, he would have been in the 7th or 6th spot and unable to deliver because George Springer would have been up to the dish and whatever he would have done struck out. And that's not even a hate or a bad slide towards George Springer. It's just that, quite frankly, Davis Schneider is the guy to lead off going forward. But let's go through the rest of them. Dalton Varsho in the 2-hole, and again, has Kevin Kiermaier there because he came into as a defensive replacement in the 8th inning. But Dalton Varsho had a great game. He got on base twice. He was down in 0-2 counts against 2 left-handed relievers and battled back both times and got himself into a count that he was able to walk, which allowed Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who I'll get to in a minute, to come up and drive in those runs. And Dalton Varsho in the 2 spot's interesting. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, base runner on the team alongside Kevin Biggio. He's a left-handed hitter, which actually pays pretty big dividends when you're against teams like the Twins in this case, who brought in Caleb Thielbar. He went into the game and he had, obviously they brought in Caleb Thielbar to pitch against the right-handed hitters, but it makes the bullpen decisions a lot more difficult. Obviously, in this case, you have Davis Schneider in the 1 hole, to where if they bring in a lefty, maybe they're bringing him in planning for Dalton Varsho, lefty on lefty, but then they have to get through Davis Schneider, who absolutely mashes lefties. But if you're bringing in a right-handed reliever, then Davis Schneider still mashes righties, but then you have Dalton Varsho, who's been killing righties this season as well, so it makes all the sense in the world, and he had himself a game. Only 1 hit, got on base 3 times, and got an RBI. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I mean, I don't know what to say about him. His swing looks like it did in 2021. His patience looks like it did in 2021. And his approach looks like it did in 2021. And this is not just a one-game overreaction for Vladdy. Even through the Blue Jays' really rough stints over the past few games, Vladdy has been the one guy who has shown like he's turning a corner. And he smoked. He went 4 for 5. He could have easily went 5 for 5. He smoked that 5th ball in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. Or the 7th inning, sorry, with the bases loaded. He absolutely smoked it. Could easily have 5 RBIs, but he went 4 for 5. His OPS is creeping back up there, and his approach looks revolutionized, or not even revolutionized, just back to what it used to, and all of that starts with his plate approach. Yes, it would be nice to see him get the ball in the air a little bit more, really unlock and tap into some of that power that we saw in 2021, but I'm fine with Vladdy going 4 for 5 with 4 singles every single game if that's the type of hitter he has become, because He won the Blue Jays this game along with Danny Jansen, who, I mean, Danny Jansen's on a heater too. Like, there's so many guys to discuss in today's game, but the big thing here is that the offense needs to continue going like this. We've discussed it in the past few videos. Obviously, the Jays haven't been playing well, but the offense is slowly starting to creep up, and especially Vladdy and Danny Jansen especially, they're slowly starting to get it back. And if they can start to slowly, especially Vladdy, we talk about it all the time. The Blue Jays are not going to be playoff contenders or World Series contenders nonetheless if Vladdy and Bo and their key players don't start producing. And if Vladdy starts to produce, then they'll be able to actually win games like this, like we thought in 2021. When the Jays were down in 2021, 5-0, you think, okay, we have the best offense in baseball. We're going to go out there and do it. Obviously, they had Semien, they had MVP Vladdy. But today's game, a lot of people thought the game was over, myself included to a degree, when it was 3-0, let alone 7-1. And then once it hit 7-1 and the Jays started battling back, these are the type of games you wanted to see. We saw in yesterday's loss, they almost battled back in the 9th inning as well. Clement was up with a man on first and third. They were down 3-2. Grounded out, but they're showing the fight to get there. And this was in a game where Kevin Gausman, something against the Twins, it's pretty obvious to me that the Twins have something on him. His ERA against the Twins is completely inflated. He has 10 hits, 6 runs. Like, he was getting demolished. Great bullpen usage by John Schneider throughout the whole way. Richards, Swanson, Garcia, and Romano. Garcia, in his first appearance back, looked absolutely dominant. Romano looked very solid, less shaky than usual. And Swanson had his coming out party. He's a 15-plus ERA this season, and he came out there and he did exactly what he had to do, which was shut them down 1-2-3, super easy inning. And Garcia looked good, touching 96 miles per hour on his fastball and a nasty slider. So the pitching looked good. The bullpen finally looked okay. And shout out to John Schneider. We like to hate on him a lot. Got to give him credit where it's due here. He managed the bullpen great in a game that's really tough for a manager when your best starter, at this point of the season, their second best starter, or third maybe, even behind Kikuchi. But he battled, John Schneider did, and the bullpen battled as well. And then again, Danny Jansen, give this guy an extension yesterday. One of the best catchers in baseball when he's healthy, and he's been healthy so far for the past few weeks, and he's looking like a very, very good hitter. And then it was good to see IKF. IKF has been an unsung hero of this team. He is definitely one of our best defenders, our best infield defender for sure. He's been hitting now. He's approaching a 300 average. Like, he has above a 700 OPS, a 720-ish, 722, 725-ish OPS. He's not going to hit for power, but he's going to hit the ball for singles and get on base, and then he has elite defense. He can play multiple positions. IKF is a great signing so far, and especially when you look at how Matt Chapman's doing, not to compare apples and oranges here, looks like a good signing. So the overall takeaway, shout out to Walk Off Podcast. Bo also hit a home run. I didn't want to forget that. 1 for 5. He's slowly starting to get it back. He's laced the ball a couple times, but overall, Swanee looked good. First big comeback, but it seems like forever. Vladdy carried the offense. Jano is the guy. And the Blue Jays take care of business against a smoking, red-hot Minnesota Twins team. But that'll wrap it up. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are. We had a video earlier, so check that out if you want more Jays content. But I had to. We weren't planning on doing a video, but I had to get a video out for you guys because what a win for the Blue Jays. And hopefully they can carry this momentum into the game tomorrow. If you want to check out our video from yesterday, click on your screen now. See you tomorrow.